What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I am reviewing a beer from the Gigantic Brewing Company, and they are out of Portland, Oregon, and this is their Pipewrench. So this is a gin barrel-aged IPA, comes in at 8% alcohol by volume and 85 IBUs, and at the time of review, I have no idea how old this bottle is. There's a bottled on date that I cannot read for the life of me. But this beer was given to me by my buddy Scott, so thank you very much, Scott. And he actually talked about this beer earlier this year. I'm talking February. So at the very least, this beer is like 10 months old, I would say, somewhere in that range. It might even be a year old, but I do know this is an older beer. But the reason why Scott gave it to me is he had this a couple years ago, and he loved it. He thought it was super unique, really tasty, and when he was able to get his hands on another bottle of it, he was like, I want you to try it, and now that I have a beer tubing channel, I'm going to review it. So, on the side here, they say, our Gigantic IPA aged in Ransom Old Tom Gin barrels for 3 months. Botanicals from the gin meld perfectly with blah, blah, blah. You know, they're talking about tasting notes. And yeah, so their Gigantic IPA, I think, comes in at 7.3% and 85 IBUs as well. And for the base IPA, I just thought this would be something that I should mention. Their base IPA, I believe they're using Cascade, Centennial, Crystal, and Simcoe hops. Now again, this beer being as old as it is, I don't know how the IPA is going to work with the gin barrel. But yeah, anyway, I've never had anything from Gigantic. This will be my first review from them, and I'm pumped up, especially something as unique and cool as this. Yeah. Anyway, let's crack this open and see what we got going on. So I don't know what to expect from this one. I'm not a huge gin drinker. I do enjoy a gin and tonic now and then. I do know that like they talk about botanicals and juniper berries. Usually gin derives their flavor mostly from juniper berries, but it can be spiced with other stuff, even citrus fruits and all kinds of spices. So be curious to see how this plays with an IPA, and the fact that it is aged. I don't even know how to think about this one. I don't know anything to think about this one, but I am pumped up to give it a go. Pipewrench, huh? Interesting. So yeah, this pours out this nice, like deep brass color. Has some clarity to it, but definitely some haze, about a finger of an off-white head. A very tight, creamy, compact bubbles. And this is apparently a beer that they release like every 3 months or so. I'm pretty sure this beer is somewhere in the probably 10 month to 1.5 year range. So yeah, I don't know what to expect, but that looks cool. Some small particulates floating around in there. You probably can't see it in camera. Beautiful looking beer though. Let's get a nose. Yeah, the gin is screaming off the top. They say botanicals. Yeah, you can definitely pick up on the juniper berries. There's a spicy complexity to the nose already. Yeah, very, very floral, just almost like woodsy character. Underneath, there's like some nice caramel, sweeter malt component to it. Maybe even a touch of citrus fruit. Yeah, like a grapefruit. Maybe even a touch of like a spicy mango skin. The base IPA, I'll tell you this. Now, this beer's been on my fridge for about 25 minutes. I wanted to drink it probably in like the 50 to 55 range because it is an IPA, but it's a barrel-aged IPA. I wanted to drink it a little cool, but not, not room temperature, Paul. Settle down. Although Paul would have drank it at room temperature and put me to shame. I get it. But yeah, no, this one's all about the gin. It almost has like a lemon lime, just a lemon lime component as well on top of the actual gin and the base IPA component. I will say this, if I did this blind, I would have simply no idea this is an IPA base. But I think I'd pick up on the gin because it is pretty prominent. Yeah, quite prominent. It is definitely a predominant note here. Anyway, it smells quite interesting and actually pretty tasty, so let's get into it. Cheers, everybody, and thanks again, Scott. Yeah, that's unique. Ooh. Yeah, that's very unique. Wow, that's interesting. So the first thing I will say is definitely the mouthfeel is really nice. It has a slight creaminess to it, a soft mouthfeel. Carbonation is like on the lower side of medium carbonation. The mouthfeel, or the body itself, at 8%, it's a bit thin, Paul, but it's still around like medium, higher side of medium body. Now we'll say straight up medium bodied, because at 8% it is slightly thin. Really no booze to speak of. The finish, pretty dry, but on top of that dryness, there is the botanicals they're talking about, the juniper. There's a little bit of spiciness on the finish. So it doesn't really finish clean. It has this lingering floral botanical characteristic to it, which is cool. Like I said, very different, very unique. Right up front though, there's this mix of caramel, sweeter orange, spicy mango skin, maybe even a touch of like another stone fruit, like a peach and apricot vibe to it. As you can see, I'm drinking this down too. Like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm tasting, but at the same time, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, this is very unique. For a gin barrel-aged anything, I'm digging this one. And the cool thing about it is that I am picking up on the gin quite a bit. Despite the fact that it's only aged for 3 months, I'm pretty sure that's all they needed to age it for, because you're getting a big kick of the gin. The base IPA is a bit lost, and that's just based on the age. I would be curious to see this relatively fresh. I mean, they put it in the barrels for 3 months, so the IPA is probably still, when you drink it, actually, you know, a 4-month-old IPA probably. But as far as what I'm tasting right now, wherever this beer is, 10 months, year and a half, whatever, I'm enjoying this. I think this is cool. I really do like the uniqueness of this beer. I just think it's a lot of fun. That's a fun beer. So, final thoughts really on this one. The gin really is the standout character of this beer. You're getting the juniper, you're getting a little bit of spiciness to it, a little bit of citrus character to it, a little bit of woody component to it as well. The base IPA is really just like caramel malt, a bit of like a sweeter orange, spicy mango skin, maybe another stone fruit like a peach and apricot. It finishes quite dry. And the finish on this one, like I said, it's not like lingering for a long time, but there is a lingering floral, botanical, woodsy like finish on the back end, which is nice. It's not off-putting at all. And I really do like the body and mouthfeel on this one. The creaminess from the mouthfeel actually adds to the drinkability for me and makes it an even more enjoyable experience. So that was Pipewrench from the Gigantic Brewing Company, and I'm going to give it, I'm just going to give it a straight up 4. I was thinking 4, 4.25. I think if this was fresh, this might jump into the 4.25, 4.5 range. If you do see this beer fresh, give it a go and let me know what it tastes like fresh. If you've had it before or if you pick it up in the future, I'd be very curious to see how this one pans out when it is fresh. But even aged, this is pretty delicious. It's pretty tasty stuff. So that was Pipewrench, Gigantic Brewing Company, 4 out of 5. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and I appreciate Scott hooking me up with 3 different beers for, not specifically reviewing purposes. He had beers for me that he just wanted me to try, but now that I have a channel, I'm reviewing them, and they've been a lot of fun, so appreciate it, Scott, and I appreciate all you guys stopping by for another beer review, and until the next one, cheers.